Hey everyone, welcome to The New Populist. I'm Dave Brown. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Now we are 2 years into this pandemic, and I think right now we can safely say that it's starting to wind down. Omicron cases are plummeting, and at this point you either have natural immunity, vaccine immunity, or both. And I think now is a good time to look back at some of the predictions for this pandemic, and specifically some of the predictions or some of the concerns that were in the book COVID-19, The Great Reset, written by Klaus Schwab. Now, I did several videos on this book. I am not a supporter of Klaus Schwab's ideas. And I think sometimes people look at him like being this boogeyman, this evil genius. You have to remember, these elites are true believers. They think they're doing the right thing by society. They aren't getting up every day going, I want to destroy the world. They think they're making the world a better place. But I wanted to go back specifically and look at some of his concerns that he had written in his book about surveillance and what would happen after the pandemic was over with regards to civil liberties and some of the things that may be done to curtail the pandemic. And then when the pandemic is over, they may hang around because it gave businesses or government power that they may not want to give back. And there are two paragraphs in particular I want to read real quick. I want you to listen to this in the context of what we know now and where we're at right now. So listen to these two paragraphs. The perennial concern expressed by legislatures, academics, and trade unionists is that surveillance tools are likely to remain in place after the crisis and even when a vaccine is finally found, simply because employers don't have any incentive to remove a surveillance system once it's been installed, particularly if one of the indirect benefits of surveillance is to check on employees' productivity. This is what happened after the terrorist attack of September 11, 2001. All around the world, new security measures like employing widespread cameras, requiring electric ID cards, and logging employees or visitors in and out became the norm. At the time, these measures were deemed extreme, but today they are used everywhere and considered normal. An increasing number of analysts, policymakers, and security specialists fear the same will now happen with the tech solutions put into place to contain the pandemic. They foresee a dystopian world ahead of us. So here he's talking about the behavior of private businesses, that they would implement certain things, and even if a vaccine was found, that they may not necessarily remove some of these new tools that they're using. And what's worse is, you go on further in this book here, and he brings up an issue where if the tools the government used were to actually work, that would of course incentivize the government to keep those tools, not just for this pandemic, but going forward ahead in the future. And the crazy thing about this is that now that we've had this vaccine, remember he wrote this book in July 2020, the assumption back then was that a vaccine would actually work the way a vaccine traditionally worked. And so not only are they using these tools and these new powers with this vaccine, it's with a vaccine that doesn't do what they say. You can still spread COVID-19, you can still become infected, yet they're still continuing with these ideas of having these vaccine passports and mandates and requirements at employers for crossing the border in Canada. And so it's actually even worse than he thought might be possible. And the thing that some people on the left don't realize about conservatives is our hesitation with giving the government powers, not because we're innately against people organizing and having some sort of coordination at the government level or the federal level. It's that we have seen over history consistently that this power is always abused we all wish that we had a government that didn't do that, that did what the citizens wanted them to do in a fair and free way. The problem, again, this doesn't happen. Every time the government gets too much power, it's eventually abused. So for these COVID restrictions, for these vaccine mandates, like you pointed out, after 2001, all these new things became normal. We cannot allow the vaccine mandates to become normal, because once they do, we can't get that ground back. 20 years after 9/11, again, we still have the Patriot Act and all the tools that the government said we needed to fight international terrorism. And now these same tools are being used not against international terrorists, but against American citizens, so-called domestic terrorism. So we have a precedent with 9/11 and the dangers of allowing the government to overreach. We should hopefully learn that lesson, especially in this situation where their tool, their solution for the problem, the vaccine, doesn't work all that well, which makes it all the worse. So we were warned. Even he could not predict just how bad and dystopian we would become, just how draconian our governments will behave. So it is actually worse than Klaus Schwab actually predicted. Well, that's it for now. Again, if you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.